Thanks for being here. We have a very serious problem in this country, many. The question is whether Joe Biden is a crook and whether Joe Biden has been bought and paid for by the communist Chinese and other governments. The media in America don't seem to give a damn. Democrat Party, of course, they're circling the wagons. And the Attorney General of the United States is absolutely silent. We've got Democrats that have impaneled grand jury after grand jury to go after Donald Trump. We have a special counsel in Washington, D.C. with 2 grand juries trying to take down Donald Trump. Meanwhile, we have a man in the Oval Office who is the sitting president of the United States with more ties, he and his family, to the communist Chinese and other governments than any president has ever had. And people are wondering, a man that's been on the public payroll his entire life, effectively been a welfare recipient, how does he have a mansion in Wilmington, Delaware? How does he have an oceanfront home in Rehoboth Beach? What is going on here? Well, let's talk about this, because I think the House Oversight Committee has done a fantastic job under extremely difficult circumstances in a very truncated period of time in getting to some of this information. And what's interesting about this information is much of it is possessed by the Biden administration, the Department of Treasury, where they can see where the foreign wires are taking place. And of course, the Biden administration has the authority to track that. They have the authority to go to the banks. They have the authority to investigate, and they won't. As somebody who served at the Department of Justice at the highest levels as Chief of Staff to an Attorney General, it is mind-boggling to me how the Attorney General of the United States has gotten away with this, that is, not appointing a special counsel. Because as you'll hear in a moment, this is exactly the kind of circumstance where a special counsel is supposed to be appointed. He knows it, and I know it, and everybody else knows it. Now, what's going on here? First of all, we have the phony media like Politico. Coma releases Biden family probe update without showing link to the president. It's not up to committees of Congress to find enough information for criminal charges linked to the president. You would think we'd have reporters that had some level of curiosity and self-respect. I mean, they do have that one-year event where they dress up like penguins and so forth and pat themselves on the back while they're eating shrimp and lobster and so forth and so on. How about doing your damn jobs? This has been laid out for you. You should be tracking this down. That's what the media exists for. But not today. The Democrat Party corrupt media exists to take out Republicans and to elect Democrats. Here from Fox, the House Oversight and Accountability Committee says the Biden family and its business associates created more than 20 companies and received more than $10 million from foreign nationals while Joe Biden served as vice president. And let me tell you about these companies. Almost 20 of these companies are LLCs. Now, people set up LLCs really for confidentiality purposes. Let's say there's a famous actor, and that famous actor wants to buy a piece of property, build a home, have his family there. Well, that actor doesn't want people coming to his door, tracking down his address, threatening him and his family. So the law allows his attorney to set up what's called an LLC. This is just an example. So they don't have to put their name out there in the public record. But who sets up 20 of these things for money to be laundered through in order to distribute it to 9 members of their family, including 3 grandchildren? Nobody. So you don't have to be an FBI agent. You don't have to be Maggie Haberman at the New York Times. You don't have to be a Pulitzer Prize winning anything to say, wait a minute, that stinks. What the hell is that all about? And $10 million flowed through it? And it went to 9 different members of the Biden family? The committee said that those companies were formed mostly in Delaware and Washington, D.C. And after assuming the vice presidency in 2009, records reveal after Biden becomes vice president, they set up these companies. Records reveal Hunter Biden and his business associates formed at least 15 companies, 20 total, but they're able to name 15. Those companies include Lion Hall Group, Owasco PC, Robinson Walker LLC, Skane Teles LLC, Seneca Global Advisors LLC, Rosemont Seneca Partners LLC, Rosemont Seneca Principal Investments LLC, reading this for a reason, Rosemont Seneca Bohai LLC, Hudson West the Third LLC, Hudson West the Fifth LLC, CEFC Infrastructure Investment US, and others. Now, why would you do that? Why would you do that? These names obviously are intended to, again, conceal what's taking place. Now, for Politico, the question isn't, well, this doesn't link to Biden. The question is, why would the Biden family set up 20 companies like this? That's the question. Why would they do it when Joe is vice president? That's the question. Why did $10 million flow in? Peter Schweitzer says $31 million. Why would millions and millions of dollars, including from an enemy of the United States, the communist Chinese, flow into accounts that are linked to the Biden family, covered up through shell companies and distributed to 9 members, including 3 grandchildren? Doesn't that even pique your curiosity in the media? What the hell is wrong with you? And Joe Biden, you don't get to hide. You're the president of the United States. Joe Biden needs to answer this. What are these companies for? Why were they set up? How come the communist Chinese are so busy investing in your family? They also invested in the Penn Biden Center, $54 million going to the University of Pennsylvania when he left office, of which he got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands in salary for doing nothing but sitting on his butt. What's that all about? Why isn't anybody interested in that? Well, we also have, specifically with regard to China, the memo points to 2 people, Ye Zhiming and Gang Wendong, and warned that particular Chinese business venture posed, quote, potential threats to American national security. Both people were connected to Hunter Biden's joint venture with Chinese energy company CEFC, a Communist Party-controlled front energy company. The memo said Yi had close ties to the highest levels of the Chinese Communist Party and was reportedly Deputy Secretary General for an international outreach arm of the People's Liberation Army. What about that? Anybody curious about that? Wall Street Journal. Emails and text messages made public in 2020 by former Hunter business partner Tony Bobulinski related to a separate attempted deal with the CEFC, that same communist energy front group. Quote, Hunter demanding more because CEFC is, quote, coming to be my partner, to be partners with the Bidens. That's a quote. And noting that I'm the only one putting an entire family legacy on the line. That's a quote. In another email reported by the New York Post, Hunter boasted that Mr. Ye would pay him millions for, quote, introductions alone. Look, we're not stupid people, we the American people. We know exactly what's going on here. The communist Chinese, Mr. Xi, bought influence through the Biden family. They couldn't have been more thrilled that he was elected president of the United States. Then we have our FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, more like the Federal Bureau of the Stasi. They refused to give Congress informant file alleging Biden took bribes as vice president. The FBI official concluded, we hope this helps you understand that keeping this kind of source information, it's this form FD 1023, that an FBI whistleblower told the Comer Committee, also told a Senate committee, hey, Joe Biden took bribes. Is that headline news? I thought the media liked whistleblowers. Is that not headline? Well, prove it, prove it, prove it. They're trying to get the information. They're being obstructed. But Joe Biden has questions to answer. Joe Biden has issues to address. We hope this helps you understand that keeping this kind of source information free from the perception or reality of improper influence and preventing the redirection of this information for non-law enforcement or non-intelligence units is necessary for the FBI's, and they go on. In other words, sources and methods. We have to protect our sources and methods. I don't trust you bastards for 1 second. Your sources and methods. You had sources and methods on the dossier too, didn't you? Now, if they're going to use sources and methods every time Congress tries to oversee what the FBI is doing, ladies and gentlemen, we have a rogue federal law enforcement agency that has no oversight, none whatsoever. Now, Congress is in the Constitution, the FBI is not. So we've reached a point now where the FBI is thumbing its nose at congressional oversight committees, and we have an instance here. Their sources and methods, it's more important if we know that Joe Biden is a crook, that he was on the take. Seems to me that's more important than their sources and methods, ladies and gentlemen. The Heritage Foundation, do Chinese donations explain Biden's energy policy? They talk about all these connections that I just mentioned to you, and they say the Chinese donation seems to be paying off. The Biden administration is following California's lead with a goal of transitioning to sales of only battery-operated vehicles. Department of Transportation is prioritizing climate initiatives such as funding for electric vehicles, charging stations, electric transit, all of which involves the Communist Chinese. We do not have the materials for this. FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, is slowing the approval of new pipelines to carry oil and gas from the interior of the country to consumers nationwide. The Interior Department has called for fewer leases for companies to drill for oil and gas on federal lands and higher royalties for the leases. The SEC chairman, Gary Gensler, has proposed rules to require private companies to disclose information about governance and management of climate-related risks. The Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, which regulates banks, has appointed a new chief climate risk officer to oversee climate-driven risks to banks. Some might justify these gifts, they say, to China on the grounds that the world's climate will benefit from lower emissions as a result of U.S. decarbonization. But China is producing wind turbines, solar panels, batteries it sells to the United States, with coal increasing global emissions. Consider America has 225 coal-fired power plants. China has 1,118, half of all the coal-fired plants in the world. Since 2010, the U.S. has reduced coal-fired electricity generations. Okay, China has increased it by an enormous amount. Many people have been puzzled by the Biden administration, and Biden has oriented American energy policy toward a country that enslaves its people, steals intellectual property from the U.S., and threatens our allies and partners, and threatens us. Now, talk about obstruction. 28 CFR 600.1, grounds for appointing a special counsel. Mr. Attorney General, I'm talking to you. Because if anybody's corrupt, it's you. The Attorney General, or in cases in which the Attorney General is recused, the acting Attorney General will appoint a special counsel when he or she determines that a criminal investigation of a person or matter is warranted. A, that investigation or prosecution of that person or matter by a U.S. Attorney's Office or litigating division in the Department of Justice would present a conflict of interest for the department. Hello? This is when you appoint a special counsel. That under the circumstances, it would be in the public interest to appoint an outside special counsel to assume responsibility for the matter. Is Joe Biden a crook? Is he on the take? Seems to me it's worthy of a special counsel. We need to pressure the Attorney General of the United States. It's long over time for a special counsel, uninhibited and unobstructed, to conduct a thorough investigation of Joe Biden